So we're going to welcome you to R&B Showcase Radio Show. We have some special guests in the studios. We pay tribute to Dennis Edwards, the former lead singer of The Temptations, during what we call the Papa Was a Rolling Stone and Cloud 9 era. And he's the voice of the very first Grammy Award from Motown Records. And I want to thank our very good friend Alec Braidman for the opportunity to invite us to be part of his yearly tribute to Dennis Edwards. We do this every year. And of course, it's to honor Dennis's legacy as part of The Temptations and as a contribution to American popular music. Our special guest in the studio is joining us is Kyle Maack. And Kyle, of course, is the first artist signed to 1030 International Records. And his album is called Dr. Otis Williams Presents Kyle Maack. And of course, Otis Williams is the founder of that record label. And Kyle is his first artist. And Kyle is a Temptations enthusiast, and also,
I am, yes.
And also, Kyle, you recorded some song on this album in tribute to all the great lead singers of The Temptations, including Dennis Edwards. And we're going to ask you in a couple minutes about your thoughts on this. And also joining us is Kevin White, who is a music historian and a great friend of ours. But Kevin White, welcome to the show here.
Thank you, Tim.
To R&B Showcase. And this, as we mentioned, was a part of the yearly annual tribute to Dennis Edwards. And when we talk about Dennis Edwards, Dennis, his contribution to Motown and to The Temptations, and of course he also had this solo album, Don't Look Any Further. And I think about, a lot of folks don't remember that he joined The Temptations during the Cloud 9 era, but he also was part of many of their television appearances and their live shows. And I think Colin mentioned about he joined right after the Wish It Would Rain album.
Yeah, you have a Live at the Copa album right there, a copy of that. And I believe that show was in promotion for the Wish It Would Rain. So he's singing a lot of the songs that were made famous by David Ruffin. He came into the group right after that.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And Dennis did his thing. And then, of course, we talk about the television shows that they did. This album, was a George Kirby show. The Temptations also had their own television show. And then, not to mention the TCBs and all of those things.
On Broadway.
And then, of course, I call this the Papa era, Superstar. This is when I first really got into the Temptations, was doing this era, with Richard Street and Damon Harris and Otis and Melvin and Dennis Edwards. My first introduction to the Temptations, and always admired Dennis's vocals and the power that he brought to the group. And Papa Was a Rolling Stone. But we just want to take a few minutes and just remember Dennis Edwards. And when I think about him, especially during the Don't Look Any Further era and the solo projects that he did, a lot of his music is so influential and was sampled by many of the hip hop artists, not only sampling the music and the song, but Dennis's voice was sampled. And you hear it on all of these recordings. He was very influential to the music industry. And as we mentioned, primarily we're bringing that first Grammy to Motown Records. So I'd like for you two gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about this, about what Dennis Edwards, what his music meant to you. Kyle, let's start with you.
All right.
Because on your album, Dr. Otis Williams Presents Kyle Maack, you're the first artist signed to Otis Williams' record label. Right. But you do a song in tribute to Dennis. Talk about that song.
Well, Shaky Ground is I really love the really funky era of Temptations music. And in fact, I have been performing Shaky Ground, the song, as in my shows for a couple of years prior to actually getting the chance to record it. Mm-hmm. And so when Otis and his team, they were trying to figure out what kind of project do we want the Kyle Maack thing to be. And it's like, well, I have this personal history with the Temptations that stems back to when I was a child. And how about we do some kind of like love letter to the Temptations music? And Dennis Edwards is a huge part of that. I mean, he was one of the longest, if not the longest tenured lead vocalist that the Temptations ever had. Mm-hmm. And Shaky Ground to me is one of my favorite songs that he ever recorded. So we recorded a version of that. We called the EP Shaky Ground. And he was very much an influence on me and my music preferences. And in many ways, a lot of the ways that I perform. So huge influence on me.
And not just as a long tenured member of the Temptations, bringing hits to the group. And of course, he was part of the induction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, also part of the R&B Hall of Fame. And a shout out to Lamont Showboat Robinson for making that happen, being part of that organization. But Dennis just brought a lot of great music to the group. We mentioned all the television appearances and the Grammy Awards. They won multiple Grammys. And then Papa Was a Rolling Stone. Kevin White, we bring you into the conversation because I know that you're a Temptations fan.
I am. And a thing that always impressed me about Dennis is he's done something that I don't know if really anyone has ever done. Is he came into a group when they were at the top.
Right.
Replaced the lead singer. Not only kept it going, but in some ways achieved even greater successes than they had before. That's amazing. That is truly amazing. I don't know of any rock artist, pop artist, anyone who's ever done that besides Dennis Edwards. If you know, tell me. I don't know who that is.
Well, they almost became a different group.
They did.
In essence, it was just a different era of music and a different sound.
I think he took them places, and this is not a shot at David Ruffin because he's incredible and a hero, and I got into the Temptations because of him. But I think Dennis took them places that I'm not sure David could have gone. Just with the whole psychedelic soul thing that started to happen.
Because of the style, those different styles.
Exactly.
Because my first Temptations concert was in 2006, several years after that, and but still just as memorable for me. That was the first time I ever, my first concert was the first time I met them, and it was like the next show after that, Kevin, that I met you, and it wasn't too long after that I met Tim.
That's right.
I met every single one of you guys here at a Temptations concert.
That's something.
That's amazing.
But you know what, Kyle and Kevin, that is a testament, of a great, how this music, not only just the Temptations music, but Motown music in general, the love of this music has brought this many eras of people together, the decades. I mean, it's so much a part of American popular music and culture. Right. It's ingrained in the fabric of our culture, this music. You have a young man like Kyle that, like he said, he started in the 2000s getting into the Temptations, and this music is way before, dating back to the 60s, and think about all the things that these artists went through to get to this point. This is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's and to be honest with you, if it wasn't for the music of the Temptations, especially the music recorded with Dennis Edwards, I don't know what kind of person I would be. I probably wouldn't even be a recording artist now. I wouldn't. I would. My love of performing, if it wasn't for the Temptations, if it wasn't for Dennis, David, Ollie Woodson, all those people, Otis. If it wasn't for those guys, I don't know what I would be, who I would be as a person. There and it's a true testament to the power of these people's talent. It's incredible.
And I'm sure when they started out doing this, they were just singing because they loved the music. They didn't realize the impact that they would have on so many people's lives worldwide. And I'm just glad they did it.
They didn't realize that, but it's funny you guys don't mention that because I want to talk about this is the R&B showcase issue that has Dennis Edwards. When I got a chance to interview, Mike Patillo, the bass singer, and David C. and Chris Arnold and Bernard Gibson, and also Dennis in this particular book. But I got a chance to interview the guys for this magazine, for R&B Showcase magazine, and all the guys are inducted into the R&B Hall of Fame as well. And it was a great opportunity. But like I said, the legacy of this music will just definitely live on. With us, and it's a part of us, who we are. But you mentioned the Temptations are the reason why you got into singing.
I did, yes.
The Temptations and the Motown music is the reason why I got into radio, because I wanted to have the chance to play all the Motown records I could play, because Motown is essentially my parents' era. You know, I mean, I came in a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying it's not my era too, but was kind of like their era. I kind of grew up in the '60s, late '60s, early '70s. Right. So, but I want to have an opportunity to bring this music to the next generation.
And the Temptations are the reason that we coerced Kevin into being on the microphone.
Yes,
about that.
Yes.
When I said we're talking Temptations, Kevin White's going to be here.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful thing. And Kyle, I'm going to thank you, Kevin. I want to thank you guys for being part of this broadcast and tribute to Dennis Edwards here today, and just talking about Motown and all kind of great things, and it's a beautiful thing. So you going to a Temptations concert?
Oh, as soon as I can. Next one that's coming through, I'll be there.
I know that's right.
Do that whole East Coast run.
And Kyle, you got to work tonight, so we don't want to hold you up there, buddy.
Right? No, I got a gig in Philadelphia tonight. So,
do you get a chance to sing anything from your album, Dr. Otis Williams presents Kyle Maack, Shaky Ground? You get a chance to perform any of the songs from your album in the concert?
I am singing Shaky Ground tonight.
Oh, really?
So there you go.
I'm going to do a little Treat It Like a Lady too.
Oh, yeah, actually, yes, I'm singing "Treat Her Like a Lady" as well. I forgot about that. But yeah.
You going to sing the whole album? How about "Here I Am," Kyle?
No, there's probably not a likely chance of that. But yes, okay. I'll be doing "Shaky Ground" and "Treat Her Like a Lady."
Well, you're a pro. You're in there with pros, and bringing that sound to the next generation. That's one of the greatest things we can get out of this collaboration that you did with the Temptations on that album, man. So I wish you much continued success with your music career. And I want to thank you again for being part of the R&B Showcase, and also Mr. Kevin White. I want to thank you. You're always welcome to be part of our show here today. Anytime, the door's always open, brother. And thank you for coming down to our studio.
No problem. My pleasure. My pleasure.
I'm Tim Marshall for R&B Showcase Radio Show, and thank you for joining us here today.